Hello everybody, this is Monty with Flowers by the Bunch. Today we're going to work on a standing spray. It is a special order spray. We are going to do it in red, white, and blue. And this fellow used to work for the election commission here in our county, and so we're going to add some fun elements to this arrangement. We're starting out with a cage. It's called an easel mate cage. It is made by a company called Ludwig. It's fresh floral foam that has been soaked. It does have a hard plastic back on the back. I am going to hang it right there on our stand, and I am going to use zip ties to attach it to the stand. Now, if you don't have zip ties, that's completely okay. You can use waterproof tape to tape it on, or you can use wire. Now, for years and years, we would use just regular florist wire. But we found that if you grabbed that stand just right, that wire would cut you. So I am not sure what I was watching or who I was watching who always used zip ties, and they are the most wonderful invention. They hold it very tight. You're not going to have to worry about it coming apart. You don't have to worry about the cage falling off or any of the things. I'm going to take a pair of scissors, and I am just cutting those tabs off those zip ties. Always be sure to remove them. It just looks nicer if you do that. We're going to start out adding greenery to our arrangement. So the greenery I chose today is called Robellini. It comes packaged in just some plastic wrap, which is really pretty nice because it keeps it pretty fresh. I took that plastic wrap off, and then I'm going to cut the band. I'm going to grab my scissors. My knife, my floral knife. So my favorite tool to use in floral design is a floral knife. I'm going to grab this knife, taking my Robellini, I'm going to cut that stem at an angle, and I am going to press it right into the top of that cage. Now, I do have a bucket right below that stand to catch the water if in case it drips, and it will, because of course it has been soaked. So it is going to drip on your floor. So when you're making an arrangement like this, just be sure to grab a floral bucket, tuck it right underneath, and that will keep it from getting your floor wet. So each of these stems, I am just cutting and pressing right into that fresh floral foam. Now, it's going to kind of be designed in a diamond shape. I'm going to take and strip off a few of those fronds on the bottom because I don't need that piece to be quite that long. All right, so you can see how I kind of went around the perimeter of that fresh floral foam. Next, I'm going to take a few of these pieces, and we're just going to kind of fill in the center of that foam. All right, so there is our Robellini palm. Now, if you do not have palm available, you don't have to use palm in particular. You can use leather leaf. You can really use any type of greenery. I find that Robellini, TP, or jade all work very well in covering the base of your arrangement. Next, we're going to come in with some tea leaves. These are very large, showy leaves, and I just thought they were kind of fun and masculine. I'm going to take these leaves, and using a pair of scissors, I don't really need it to be quite that large, so I'm going to use a pair of scissors and strip off a little bit of that bottom leaf. Using my knife, cut that stem, and I'm going to press that leaf right into that floral foam at the top. I'm going to take a second one. This one's a little smaller. I'm going to tuck it to the side. Tuck one in the bottom. And then this one's a little smaller. I'm going to trim up that leaf using those scissors. All right, so there are our tea leaves. Next, I'm coming in with ribbon. I do want to add ribbon because there are a few elements that I am going to work into the ribbon. So I'm going to add a bow. So I love this ribbon. It stripes on one side and it has little white stars on the royal blue on the other. So I'm going to make a loopy bow. Actually, let's work. We've actually got it in two sizes. I have it in number 40 and then number 9, the 1.5 inch and then the 2.5 inch. I'm going to take the smaller variety and I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to drop my ribbon on the floor. I'm going to flip it over. I want the stripes to show on the top. So I'm going to take it and I am just going to make some loops. Now this is a wired ribbon, so it's very forgiving. So if it gets squished or what have you, it can very easily fluff. And it's really a doubled ribbon, so it's pretty thick. All right, find my scissors. Okay, and then you're just going to take and make that kind of bend. So you can see it has the stars on the back, and when you look on the side you can see those stars. Next we're going to take the wide ribbon and we're going to keep it on the star side. So you can see those stars. I'm going to take it. I'm just laying it right on the back of the bow. I have not tied this off with wire. I'm going to lay it right on the back of the bow. I'm going to make a loop, drop that ribbon on the floor, make a loop, a loop, a loop. I'm going to cut that, and then I'm going to make one more long tail. So I have 4 loops and one more long tail. All right, so there's our bow. You can see the stars and the stripes and the red, white, and blue. I'm going to grab a piece of florist wire. And of course, there's one. Here's a piece of florist wire, 21 gauge. I'm going to lay it right there underneath my thumb. And then I'm going to bend that wire. I don't know if y'all can see that at all. Pull it tight and tie that bow off. Next I'm going to take and I'm going to fluff it up. And sometimes you really have to pull hard to get it to fluff. And there is our pretty red, white, and blue ribbon. Now, most of the time when doing funeral work, I do not often do a printed ribbon, but because this one was a patriotic, it worked out perfect that we had this beautiful patriotic ribbon. Let me grab a wood pick. All right, so this is called a Coe wood pick. It's a 6-inch or so. I'm going to take it and I'm going to wrap that wire that I tied that bow with, just wrap it right around that wood pick. And then I'm going to take the wire that's attached to that pick and wrap it right around that wire. I'm going to take that pick and press it right into that fresh floral foam. I find if you will add your bow, now a lot of people don't like bows and I understand, this really is going to work perfectly for this particular arrangement. I like a bow on a smaller sized stand, a smaller arrangement, because it helps fill in. It gives us more color in the arrangement. I like to put the bow in first because then I can work the flowers around it and don't have to try to work that bow into that arrangement. So there is our ribbon. Next we're going to begin with our flowers. So we're going to start with our line flower. I chose some blue delphinium. Now my words won't come, I apologize. My delphinium is a lighter blue color, which is fine. I didn't have royal blue, so we're just going to use the lighter blue. I'm going to take my stem, cut that stem at an angle, and press it right in the top with that top leaf into that fresh floral foam. I have 6 stems of delphinium, so I am just going to kind of work them throughout this arrangement. There is our line flower. Next we're going to come in with some daisies or some mums. They're actually cushion mums. So I have several stems of white cushion mums. Removing some of the foliage that doesn't look good on those stems. So just, if they have greenery that doesn't look good, just pull that off. It's not hurting that flower at all. Sometimes that greenery just gets kind of brown on the edges, so I'm just peeling it off. So there's our cushion mums, our pretty white cushions. Now what I think I am going to do is I'm going to cut this stem in half. I'm using my floral knife and I am going to cut it in half. I made two separate stems, 2 separate insertions. The shorter stem I'm going to put down closer to that bow, kind of fill in some of that space. You can't always do that, cut them in half. It doesn't always work well. But when you can, it's so nice because it makes your flowers go further. You can kind of put them all the way throughout your arrangement. This is just some buds we're going to take and cut those right in. Those are those beautiful red Gerbera daisies. Next we're going to come in with some beautiful red roses. So these are called heart roses. You can see they're very large in size. They have a really large petal count, so they remind you of a garden rose. They open really, really large, really, really showy. I have wired each of these roses. So if you'll look closely, there is a wire on that stem. Now I like to wire all of our roses because it just helps. So it is hot in Mississippi. We are in the month of July here right now, and it is, I was in the car a moment ago and it was 97 degrees in the car. And so it is terribly hot. And so flowers just won't hold up well in this type of heat. So I like to wire them to make sure that they are going to stay standing and stay pretty. Because when you put flowers in this fresh floral foam of this stand, they just don't get really well hydrated. And with it being as hot as it is outside, they're just not going to stay beautiful for a long period of time. I do think this middle Gerbera here, I'm going to pull him out and I'm going to wire him, because I feel like it'll make him lift his head up just a little. So I'm going to pull this Gerber out, and I'm going to show you really quickly how to wire it. This is about 1/4 of a stem of floral wire. Press that right into the disc of that flower, and then wrap that wire right around that stem. Now you want to be very careful because the stem is pretty crisp and it'll pop very easy. So you don't want to manipulate it too much, but just enough to get that flower to do and look exactly where I want it to. And I really may do the same with this longer stemmed one. I'm going to take a piece of wire and I cut it in half. It was 1/2 of a piece, so I cut it into 1/4. Press it right into that disc, wrap it right around that stem, just like that. And then you can manipulate it just a little bit to make him look where you want him to look. So see how they now are looking toward the camera versus kind of off to the side. We have one more red rose. I think we're going to tuck it over here to this side. Now, anytime you're designing with fresh floral foam, you want to be careful not to stick something in and pull it out and stick it in and pull it out, because you get to messing with the integrity of the foam. It'll just crumble if you mess with it too much. So you want to be careful with that. Next, for a filler flower, we're going to use this pretty blue thistle. Now, I am out of fresh just for flowers flower paint. If I had some blue, I would probably pop this a little more blue. It is naturally blue, but I would add just a little bit more blue to the thistle to give it just a little more color. I don't have any, so we're just going to use what we got. Now, thistle, I have had people say, Monty, I don't know why you like thistle. It's just a weed. It's such a lovely weed, in my personal opinion. I really like to work with thistle. Such a pretty color. And it's really a fun little shape. And if you kind of look at it, it kind of looks like stars for our patriotic arrangement that we're making here. I cut that in half. And I am just like I would use any filler flower, I am just putting it all the way throughout this arrangement. All right, our last little piece of thistle, we're going to tuck it down low. All right, and then the last few things we're going to add are this Lysianthus. These are really just buds. They're not very open, but it's going to give us little pops of white all the way throughout our all the way throughout our arrangement. So I'm going to pull off some of these leaves that don't look pretty. Just take it and pop it, and just tuck those buds kind of throughout. Now, I wish it had some open blooms, but it doesn't, so we're not going to worry with that. All right, there are all the flowers that we're going to use. We used red roses, red Gerber daisies, blue delphinium, blue thistle, white chrysanthemums, white Lysianthus. So next we're going to come in with our fun little added touches. So he worked for the I want to say they said the election commission, And so they had this little sign made. So often here in our town, I don't know about yours, but they have little signs that say vote today. And they are all around town and at most of the places where you go and vote. And so they had one, a smaller one made. And I thought that we would attach this somehow to the ribbon. Maybe tuck it right in. I may take this Gerber out and tuck this sign up there and move that Gerber into another place. I'm going to wire his little head really quickly. I'm going to lay it on the counter and we'll figure out exactly where we want this Gerber once we get our sign in place. I have some hot glue over here hot. So I think that we are going to tuck this right there, kind of right there in the center of that arrangement. All of my ribbon is still showing, but I am going to take and glue it right into that ribbon there. So I am going to take I have a little wooden stem. I'm going to take a little bit of glue that I have here on my counter, and I'm just rubbing some glue right on the back of that little sign there, okay? And I am going to take it and press it right to my ribbon and hold it for just a second. Remove any of those little glue strings. All right, so I just glued it right into place. Vote today, and that's what they wanted. I am going to take my Gerber daisy that I wired, and I'm going to tuck him right above that sign. I laid my knife down, so I'm going to use a different one. I'm going to tuck that Gerber right there above that sign, just to kind of fill in that spot there. And then they had these wonderful, fun stickers that we've all gotten when we went to vote. And I think that I am going to take those and glue those right into our arrangement. I wonder, should I leave them long? I think so. Let's leave them pretty long. I'm going to just take and pop some glue to the back of those stickers. And I am going to use that little strand of stickers just as a piece of ribbon, just as if it's ribbon. So I popped it with some glue. And I am going to tuck that right in to that ribbon, and I've just got that just trailing down right in that arrangement, just as if it is a tail of ribbon. Now this was a very fun arrangement. Arrangements can be so much fun to make when it comes to personalizing them. Of course, this is for someone who has, it's for the family in honor of someone who has passed away. But what a lovely tribute to someone from his co-workers and the people who loved him. And everybody will understand completely who this is from and where it came from and their love for this wonderful man. Guys, thank you for being here. If you have any questions about how we do things here at the Flower Shop, you can always ask. We would love to answer your questions. Do me a great big favor. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button for me. And be sure to hit the subscribe button right down below. If you will hit the bell, it will give you notifications for when we have a brand new video. Guys, you have a wonderful day, and we will see you real soon.